make sure this, yeah, that's better. This thing doesn't go off the air. Because it's Holy Week. Once every year there's a week called, the world calls it Easter, but the churchy people, especially the Roman Catholics, call it Holy Week. So the Sunday that's approaching us is, it's been Palm Sunday for a fair while. I should have looked it up in the book before, but you can Google it if you want to. Palm Sunday, what's the tradition? Because 2,000 years is a long time. They never had Palm Sunday as a get-together, as a liturgical celebration in the early church. They didn't do any of that because they were under the hammer. They were hiding for about 300 years, or 300 plus years. But anyway, now we've settled down, and we've been settled down for a while. We can do what we like in churches, in some places, and most places in the West. And so therefore, I think about 30 days ago, we started it with Ash Wednesday in a season called Lent. So we picked our way through that for about 5 weeks. And then we've landed now on Palm Sunday. And after that there's going to be Holy Thursday, Good Friday and Easter weekend. So this is the intensive care, the intensive bit of the intensive month. So it's an interesting day because we do something unusual insofar as we start the ceremonies with branches of palms, if you can get them. Cypress, I've seen more of that, little twigs of cypress. If a church has got a few quid to spend, you can buy tall branches of palm trees and stick them up around the church, or you can take bits off the palm frond and hand them out. But I mean, allegedly we're supposed to hand these bits of greenery out in memory of the procession according to all the Gospels. The 4 of them have got a bit of this, but the one I've got here is Mark, when they were nearing Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives. I've never been overseas, so I really don't know from sight what you'd see on this occasion. But any of you have, you'll know better than I do what it looks like. So the Mount of Olives, where he set off 2 of his disciples with instructions to go into the village. And as soon as you go in, you'll find it. Now, this is a mysterious thing, and I'll try to read it up more by Sunday. But this animal plays a key part in this mysterious episode, because he's going to ride into Jerusalem on a donkey. See, whereas if he had warlike intent, or he's going to cause trouble, he would ride in on a horse. That's the symbolism. A donkey would be ridden into a town by a conquering hero. If he intended to come now, after he's won the battle, he's going to come peacefully. So that's a bit of symbolism in that. We'll leave that until Sunday. But he's got to get himself a donkey now. Does he pinched it? What's he done? Has he nicked it? Or he sent a couple of his students, his disciples, into the village, presumably to hire the animal, because he intends to make an unequivocal entry into the city of Jerusalem, which, as it is now, never has been the centre, as far as the Jews are concerned, the indisputable capital of what they still believe to be the Holy Land that is theirs and given by God. Now, we're not going to get into any arguments over the difference between Jews and Israelis, because one is a race and the other is a group of people with a common, a shared political platform. But on this occasion, it's got nothing to do with any of that. the thing is that this city, Jerusalem, is where really all the showdowns that ever happened in Jewish history all happened around, at least they ended up in Jerusalem, because the priests were only in Jerusalem. They did sacrifices in the only temple. Whatever was going on in religious education around the other parts of Palestine, they were synagogues run by rabbis. But this incredible building, the temple, and of course because they were occupied by the Roman army, and because the Roman army believed first in law and order, they had a garrison inside the temple. And that was to make sure there was any trouble from the Jews. Well, then the Roman soldiers would nick down the stairway into the temple and quell the riot or whatever it was. So a very, 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 very significant building, a very significant town. And on this occasion, Jesus' intention is significant too, because whether he wanted to see, he knew he was under great pressure. People were all over the place were after him. Others were all over the place, were convinced that he was going to lead them against the Roman occupying army. And he was going to make one of these, unequivocal as far as he was concerned, ambiguous as far as others were concerned, because of what the events that happened after the Sunday itself. But anyway, it's in here, the bits and pieces are in here, and I'll leave it till Sunday. They found the colt, they brought it back to him, the people gave him wonderful welcome. Some took their cloaks off and they pulled branches off trees, not recommended, and threw them on the ground as though this was going to be the triumphal entry into the capital city of the Jews by somebody that they, or some of them, would dearly love to have been the Messiah, come to rescue them from these wretched occupying soldiers. But others, of course, terrified, like the priests, terrified, and the businessmen, because he was, if the people were right and Jesus was going to do that, then there was terrible trouble in store for Jerusalem businesses, and the whole of Palestine would have ended up in a brawl with the Romans. And some would have taken the side of the Romans, of course, because the Romans were there for law and order, and you can't do business without law and order. And in fact, you can't do temple ceremonies either without law and order. So there was a bit of, you know what I mean, a bit of treachery and a bit of misplaced loyalty. Anyway, we'll do more of this on Sunday if you don't mind, but I'm reading here from, Mark chapter 11, the first few verses. Don't get lost in it. Don't get lost in it, because there's lots of cryptic details in it, which you can edit it as far as you like, because it makes it, use your imagination on it. Anyhow, we'll talk more about it later. I'll stop that thing now.
Sorry, you have to push stop.
I did.